Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Serious Film Critics. We are the Serious Film Critics. My name is Sam.
And I'm David.
All right, guys. It's June 14th. It's a bright, sweltering hot day outside, so we're glad to have you. We're glad to be back. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good, too. Just did a workout. I'm feeling good, ready to talk some Mummy. So, all right, guys, stay tuned. We have an awesome episode for you today. We're going to be doing a little E3 talk. We got a trailer to discuss. We're going to be doing The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise. We'll be reviewing that. And a couple other little things at the end there I think you guys will like. So, all right, man. Should we just jump into this thing, start talking some E3?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about E3. I don't know how interested our audience is in that.
Yeah.
But I figured it was worth talking about because there was some neat stuff. What did you see from it?
I mostly just saw some Nintendo stuff. Like, I'm a big Nintendo guy, so I saw the Super Mario Odyssey trailer that I thought looked amazing. I'm all in for that one. I watched a little bit of that's really the only game that I kind of followed. Like, I guess they were doing some playthroughs of certain levels and stuff. I saw one where it was this wooded kingdom or something, and it looked pretty darn good in my opinion. I'm just, if you give me something with Mario in it, I'm in. And I'm like, this wooded kingdom, you saw the light shining through the trees. Those graphics were popping for Nintendo, so I'm on board with that.
Did you see that they're doing a legit Pokemon RPG on the Switch? Like a main series Pokemon game on console.
What? I heard some sort of rumors, but I didn't hear. They're actually doing it's going to be the next main Pokemon game.
Yeah, it's going to be the next main Pokemon game is on it's on Switch, so it's on console, and this is
wow,
big deal.
Yeah, I didn't know it was I thought it was a sort of a branch off battle game or something. I didn't know it was the next one.
No, this is it. This is probably going to be one of the biggest games they've ever made. I mean, this is what people have been waiting for 20 years.
And it's an RPG style,
it's a main series core Pokemon game. They said it's basically going to be the next Pokemon's on Switch because they're probably going 3DS after this.
I did not know that, but that is I am pretty pumped about that. What's the name of it? Do we know?
They haven't said anything because they are now releasing Ultra Sun and Moon or whatever this year.
Okay.
They just said that there's nothing they have to tell us except that it won't be out for at least a year.
Man, I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I mean, this could be one of the best games ever made, easily.
Yeah, that seriously could, because that's you always wanted one of those Pokemon games to be on console and have those amazing graphics, and I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've been pushing towards this because the more recent Pokemon games have been 3D and stuff, so they're trying to they've been showing that they can do it in 3D, and now this is the next step.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't played. I don't think I played the last two, so yeah, I'm not used to the good 3D graphics yet. So I gotta get on that sometime. I just never gotten around to buying a 3DS, which I don't know. I'm just dragging my feet with it, but
I mean, at this point, there's almost not really any reason to because the Switch is basically replacing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't really feel I just kind of missed the boat on that one. But and then the other thing I saw which I'm pumped about, is Metroid Prime 4.
Oh yeah.
They didn't show anything, but Metroid Prime is probably my favorite game of all time, right up there with Ocarina of Time. So I'm super pumped about that. They didn't show any footage or anything, but yeah, that's all. Those are the two main things that I followed. What's going on with Xbox? Anything good?
I mean, the big thing was Xbox One Scorpio. Now it's called the Xbox One X. I mean,
it's not called Scorpio?
It was called Scorpio. It's the pro version of the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
With a lot more power in it. I mean, they didn't really show any big games again because they never have any big games, but I thought they had a pretty good conference.
What
I don't
about
think anything from E3 jumped out at me?
What about Battlefield? What about the new Star Wars Battlefront game?
Oh, that looks really good.
Is that coming out? Is that coming out soon?
That's this year.
Ooh, I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, it's all eras, so it's gonna be awesome.
Cause I have my Xbox, but I have an Xbox One, but man, I don't really I mean, I basically just use it as a glorified 4K or Blu-ray player or something I will say I'm still playing a lot of Overwatch, man. We got when our friend Adam gets home, we gotta get back on that.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna be playing a lot of Overwatch. We're pros at that.
Are you so you guys are down to start playing again?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh man, I am super pumped because I've still been playing that a lot. I think I'm actually pretty decent now, so I could hang with you boys, I think.
Yeah,
man.
we're all pretty good at that, so we'll be keeping you in the loop on Overwatch.
Yeah, you guys are Dave and Adam are masters, so
Yeah, we're pretty good.
I'll be joining the A team. I'm actually pretty pumped about that too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if PS4 is worth mentioning because we don't have We don't purchase PlayStation products really.
Yeah, we don't really do Sony.
Yeah, no,
I had a
I'm not
PlayStation 3, but
yeah, I think the last thing I had was a PS2.
yeah, everybody had one of those. So
Yeah, that was like the last big one. But all right, well, anything else with E3 you want to talk
now
about?
let's just what are we gonna do? A trailer review before we jump in the Mummy?
Yeah, I think overall, I kind of want to talk about Murder on the Orient Express, but overall, man, there's some bad looking movies coming out. Like
yeah.
I just like just sitting there before the Mummy played, like the trailers that I was shown, I was just so underwhelmed by almost all of them. I will say I was happy I got to see. I've been wanting to see the Star Wars trailer in theaters. I finally got to see that. But other than that, man, there's some hot garbage coming out.
Yeah, I actually missed most of them. I saw the Atomic Blonde trailer, which I thought pretty shitty.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good.
I also thought the trailer gave away almost the entire plot. And
Yeah,
then
it
I
seems
saw
like
the
pretty
It
obvious.
trailer, which I am excited about.
Oh, they actually showed the It trailer, huh?
Yeah, they did.
That does look pretty good. I'll give you that.
I think there was one more that I only saw half of. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, they didn't show the Murder on the Orient Express one?
No, well, I got there like right before the movie started.
Okay, yeah, so you pretty much missed all of them. The only other one I saw was that the new Transformers movie. I thought it looked pretty bad.
Oh yeah, I did see that one actually. That was the one I only saw part of.
And I guess this is big because I guess it's Michael Bay actually doing it again. So I guess this is like his last hurrah in the
he
Transformers universe.
So much. Like he said that about like the last 3 or 4 of them, I think.
Yeah, I think
not
he
that
did.
many of them.
I don't know what this one is, man. It looks like it's mixed in with like medieval, like a medieval plot line too. There's like Knights Templar in it, and I don't know what he's going for in this one. Like, it looks really bad. And Mark Wahlberg's in there, like, hey, how you doing? He keeps calling Optimus Prime throughout the whole trailer. Like he says it so many times. He said, well, we gotta go say Prime. Prime's in trouble.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I thought he was trying to like make his career a lot more serious, and then he just wants money. He does these terrible Transformers movies.
I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, he's in every movie these days, and he's the same. He's like literally just the same. He's just. And did you read that article where he was saying like I know this is not movie related, but it is Mark Wahlberg. So he was saying like if he had been on one of those planes in 9/11, like things would have gone down differently.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Like, man, this Mark Wahlberg's watched, I think, one too many Mark Wahlberg movies. Like, yeah, he was like, things would have happened differently if I was on there.
I mean, he's a pretty mean dude. Like, if you read about the stuff he did before he was an actor,
not really.
He like spent time in prison for partially blinding some dude.
Did he really?
Oh,
was this
yeah,
like when he was in the Funky Bunch or whatever?
I think this was before that.
Oh man, no,
Yeah, he used to be like a tough dude, I think. I mean, he's a big guy. He's short, but he's strong.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, he is.
I mean, I think he he knows how to throw down. He grew up on the streets.
Is he from Southie? Is that what?
I don't know where he's from, but I just know that that's a big thing, and he got into like a ton of trouble in his past.
I actually didn't know that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That must have been like right around when they filmed that movie Basketball Diaries, because that was like early '90s, and
I think he was in the Funky Bunch in like 1991 or something.
Oh man, yeah, because all right, yeah.
I mean, he's not that young, so
I keep forgetting how old he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, this trailer for Murder on the Orient Express, I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. It's a Ridley Scott production. I think Kenneth Branagh's directing it. What did you think of that trailer?
I think that it was almost like trying to appeal to people that like know the story or have seen the original. I haven't seen the original, so I was just kind of like scratching my head the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be like an Agatha Christie series or something. I think like Murder on the Orient Express was like one of a bunch of novels that I guess starring this Hercule Poirot or whatever his name is, but I think they've done some TV series of it too, and maybe a couple movies. But man, this movie looks a little bit self-indulgent to me. Just the way they just showed all those big time actors sitting there in that train, and like I don't know, just the way they lingered on some of them. Like they like went over to Josh Gad because he's like the hot hot actor, hot funny man right now, and he was just like, oh, I didn't see anything. Like it's, they're just,
Yeah,
and then
that whole like shot where it was like showing all the characters, I thought that was like okay.
yeah,
Cool.
like we get it. And Johnny Depp's on there as like just some weird looking guy. Like
Yeah. Who was playing the detective? Because when they revealed him, it was supposed to be like a big thing, and I don't even recognize this guy. Was that Kenneth Branagh?
that is Kenneth Branagh. Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Who I actually do like him. I like his mustache. I'll say that.
yeah, I mean he's a good actor, but I did not.
But it's funny how they revealed it like that. Like this is like, oh my god, like it's Kenneth Branagh. Like if anything, I thought Johnny Depp would play that role and like.
Yeah,
make
I thought it was gonna be somebody big.
Yeah.
not Kenneth Branagh big.
yeah, there's different levels, and Kenneth Branagh is like not where he was announced. Like not to the level he was portrayed there.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I don't think it looks that good, honestly. Though honestly, it wasn't even really a trailer. It was more just like an introduction to it. But I just thought it looked particularly self-indulgent.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sure that Kenneth Branagh is all in on this because that's what he loves. Is he does a lot of Shakespeare stuff.
Yeah, he does. And Johnny Depp, he just has to be weird. Like, I want to see one movie, modern, like, recent movie where Johnny Depp just looks normal. He has to look weird
What
in
about that
everything he's
Rum
in.
Diaries movie? Did he look normal in that?
I think he looked weird in that, or at least kind of weird.
I mean, how many normal movies has he been in? Blow. That's
Yeah,
one.
but in the 90s, he kind of mixed it up. Like, he did, like, Donnie Brasco,
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah,
which I thought was a really good movie, and he was a normal guy in that. Ed Wood, the Tim Burton one. I mean, he was a weird guy, but he was himself. Like he looked, he wasn't covered in like 10 pounds of prosthetic makeup and stuff like that. Like I just want to see a movie where he just looks like himself. Like it just every movie these days he has to look. Even if he's playing a guy who looks like a normal human, he has to have some like weird. This guy had like some weird eye stuff and like weird hair and. Did you see that new Harry? You probably didn't see that Fantastic Beasts movie.
No, of course not.
Yeah, he was in that as like this dark wizard Grindelwald, and like he looked so weird. Like he had this like spiky white hair, and like you couldn't see his pupils, and it's just like, come on, man! Like, do one movie, Johnny, where you're looking normal again.
I mean, he takes the movies that pay, and I mean, these fantasy big budget movies always pay, so he takes them.
Yeah, it's true. I guess he's a slave to the dollar these days.
Yeah,
as are a lot of actors.
unfortunately.
All right, well, I think that's all there is to say about that. You wanna just jump into this review here?
Yeah, let's just.
All right, so we're talking The Mummy, which is a 2017 release starring Tom Cruise and some other guys.
yeah, we'll get to. Well, Russell Crowe's in it.
Oh yeah, Russell Crowe, Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson, that guy's in it.
He is. He's in it. All right, you wanna take it away, Dave?
So first, I think we should. It was directed by this guy Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah,
He only hasn't really done anything else.
I'm
which
not
is interesting.
I'm not familiar with his filmography. I should have looked him up, but I
But I
haven't
think
heard
what's
of him
really
before.
interesting is the writers. One of them is Christopher McQuarrie, and isn't that the guy
Yeah.
that wrote The Usual Suspects?
It might have been. I know. What's his name? David Kep or whatever was a writer, and he's done a lot of stuff. I think he did.
There were some good writers working.
There
on
were
this
some
film,
good
Very
writers.
good writers.
I think also the problem is there were a bunch of them though.
Yeah, there was like
That-
6 writing credits.
There were 6 writers for this movie, and you should not need 6 writers to do The Mummy. That's just you can just smell the studio influence there.
Oh, I'm sure that they were just like making edits every single day.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right, so let's just get into this. So, we'll do a quick spoiler-free synopsis in case you want to skip the next part, which you won't.
Yeah.
So
No, you
basically, stars Tom Cruise, and he uncovers the mummy that was imprisoned like, I don't know, 1,000 years ago or whatever, and because she murdered her father and her brother, and basically tried to become a living god with the help of the Egyptian god Set, the god of death.
Yeah.
So he wakes her up, and all this shit goes down. She curses him, and that's all you need to know. So it opens with like these Crusader knights in ancient England or something, and they have like a ruby that they bury with one of the Crusaders. So then the next scene, like they're building I guess like a railway or something, an underground metro, and they unearth the tomb. So then like these just like this crew of people roll in and take over, like they're taking over the site. We don't know who they are yet. We just know Russell Crowe's with them, and they know that the ruby is there and the dagger's there. So then it cuts to this was my favorite part of the movie, where it's like Mesopotamia, like the cradle of civilization, now known as Iraq, and then it just shows like the ISIS style fighters just shooting up like these ancient monuments.
Yeah.
So in there we see Tom Cruise, who plays this guy named Nick, and his partner Chris Vale, he usually calls him Vale, who's played by Jake Johnson. And they're supposed to be like recon in the army, but they're basically more like, I don't know, looters. They call themselves liberators. And apparently Nick.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they like fit into the army. Like I feel like it was poorly explained. I was just kind of like
poorly explained. I guess they were army rangers. And they were recon, but I mean, I don't think that. I don't know. Maybe they do. They were like dressed like locals. You know, they had like they were riding horses, and this is obviously a throwback to the old Mummy. And they had like the wraps and stuff.
Yeah, it was very unclear to me, like what level, like what rank or what connection they had.
They called him Sarge. Remember?
Right, they did call him Sarge. Yeah. Okay.
So basically, they had a map that led them to this town. And he says that he's going to go in there and rescue civilians, but he really thinks that there's money there, or like old artifacts he's going to steal and sell. So they go in there. They ended up getting attacked by ISIS, or whoever it is. It's basically ISIS.
Yeah, and, pretty much.
So his buddy Vale calls in a airstrike. So like a Predator drone comes in and blows up the ground, scares off all of ISIS, and it uncovers like this giant opening in the ground, and there's like it's like a giant burial chamber. So after that, they call in Colonel Greenway. That was because that's how I knew they were. He said Rangers on his patch.
Wow, good on you! Like, good on you for remembering that guy's name.
And so basically, like he's like, "Oh, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be 100 miles away doing recon. God knows why." And while they're there, this chick. Do you remember what her name was?
Jenny.
Jenny meets up, and apparently Nick stole the map from her after they like had a one night stand in Baghdad. So she basically convinces Greenway that there's a lot of valuable stuff down there, and that he needs to help her go down there so she can bring whatever's up, because it's worth all this money. And obviously, like Nick and Vale just think they're gonna like steal some stuff and sell it.
Oh, yeah.
So they rope down there. It's like freaking, the chamber's like half a mile deep.
Yeah, that is way down there.
I can't believe they had no problem going down there. It's just literally the three of them.
Yeah, there. Like that, that would look like literally like half a mile. Like it was way down there. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was freaking down there. And they go down there, and it's like, I don't know. They don't really see anything, I guess. And then finally they see like this giant contraption that's holding this like sarcophagus down, and it's like there's mercury in there too. So in order to open it, Nick shoots some rope thing, and it like opens or unlocks the sarcophagus, and then a bunch of freaking camel spiders like start just like freaking flowing out of the camel. One of them bites Vale. So they're like, all right, they get the sarcophagus out of there. And I don't know if
I like how the camel spiders just like conveniently stop too. They just like were everywhere, and then like, yeah, we're gonna peace out.
Yeah, we're not gonna bite anybody else because that would be inconvenient to the plot.
Exactly.
I guess we also need to explain like the mummy is this woman named Amenet, who was going to basically inherit the Egyptian throne, and then her father had a son who was going to take her place. So like I said, she contacted her boy Set, who was like, okay, if you kill all your family and then you sacrifice your lover, he'll become a living god. I don't know you're gonna get a bunch of power too. But in the process,
was Set that mummy looking guy that was in that one scene, like kind of it looks like she summoned him. Was he that like kind of?
I guess that was him. I think Set is like one of the guys on the statues or something. I don't know.
That's what I thought, but then it kind of seemed like he was that mummy looking creature in that one scene where I guess she was about to summon him, or I don't know.
Maybe that was just like an incarnation of him.
Yeah,
he's a god.
It's not important, but yeah. I was just curious.
Right before she can finish the ritual, her father's guys show up, and they kill her boy, and then they like mummify her alive and bathe her in mercury because that's how you keep mummies down, is with mercury, apparently.
I
So,
never
all right,
heard
they
that.
got her out of the cave, and they're loading onto. I thought this was funny. They're loading her onto a plane, and like there's a big sandstorm coming, and like they were just like rolling out of there as fast as they can. I guess they know they can beat the sandstorm.
Yeah,
So they load that thing on there. There's almost nobody on the plane. It's just like Greenway, Vale, Nick, Jenny, and then there's like 2 other soldiers who are not relevant at all until one part.
yeah.
So they're flying through, and then Vale, while she's like looking, Jenny does all this research on the mummy, and Vale suddenly like wakes up because he's like starting to like turn into something.
Yeah, he's not feeling so hot.
Yeah. So he wakes up and stabs. Oh, first he opens the sarcophagus, right?
No, I think he stabs the guy for the guy doing.
I think he tries to open it. He starts stabbing it with his knife, and then Greenway's like, "What are you doing?"
the poor man's Idris Elba.
Yeah. So he stabs Greenway, and then he starts attacking the group. And I thought this is so funny. The 2 other soldiers get their guns out, and they're about to shoot him. And then Nick, who is like, "No, don't do it." So he takes the gun from one of the guys, but he ends up shooting him anyway.
Yeah, he still shoots him.
I guess they just wanted to show how good he is at like handling guns.
Yeah, instead of showing him just like load it really quickly, they just showed him actually using it.
Yeah. So he takes the gun from one of them. He ends up shooting his boy Vale a couple of times, and then he shoots him once again. And then they hear this crap going on in the cockpit, and like this giant flock of birds like attacks the plane. They like break through the cockpit glass, kill the pilots. The plane starts going down. So there's a really interesting scene where they're like bouncing around the plane trying to get their stuff together. So Tom Cruise manages to get a parachute on Jenny, and she gets out while he goes down with the plane. So then it cuts to England, and throughout this, there's like a bunch of flashbacks that aren't really that important with Nick and the mummy.
Yeah, forget about those.
They don't matter.
We'll talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, but he's basically been cursed by her already. So he's chosen. He's the new chosen. So now Jenny is like going to identify the bodies from the plane. So Nick wakes up in a body bag in a morgue along with Vale. And it turns out, he's not dead. He cuts out of the body bag. They go in there and they're like,
I gotta say, man, Tom Cruise is looking jacked in this movie.
he's always looked like that for a while now.
Has he? I mean, I feel like I haven't seen him look like he looked big in this. I know he's in
big
good
in
shape, but
the most recent Mission Impossible movies, like he's pretty big in those.
Yeah, it looks like he's been hitting the protein,
shape.
but continue.
Yeah, so he wakes up, he's like, who's in charge here? Like, really? And that's it. That's all that ever comes of that. Like, these people literally came back from the dead. So then we see this scene. These English investigators are investigating the plane crash, and they come across the mummy who's out of her sarcophagus. So she basically sucks the life out of one and turns him into like a mummy zombie, and then does it to the other guy. So then Nick goes to a freaking pub with Jenny where he sees Vale again. He keeps seeing Vale in like visions, and he goes in the bathroom, has this long conversation with Vale about how he needs to go because the mummy's in his head doing this to him. About how he needs to go find the mummy so they can complete the ritual, but he doesn't know that. He just knows he needs to find the mummy. So he goes with Jenny to the plane crash because she told him where they're at. And it turns out that the mummy has just like rounded up a whole bunch of cops and turned them into mummy zombies. So
yeah, she's got an army.
Yeah. He goes in there. He goes into this church because he knows the dagger's in there, but the ruby isn't. Oh yeah, the dagger wasn't buried with the ruby, by the way.
They're separate.
Yeah, they hold him down. They're about to stab him, and they're like, oh, there's no ruby. So then he manages to break out because Jenny comes in, and they run. They have this whole thing where they run. They get into an ambulance, and they have a big fight with all the mummy zombies. And then just as the mummy's about to get one up on Nick again, these guys just roll up with like crossbow. I don't even know what kind of guns they are, but they basically like hook
mercury guns.
Yeah, mercury guns. They basically hook the mummy, and they get her down, and they take her to this secret lair they have, and it's like run by Russell Crowe. Turns out is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yep.
Yeah,
he is.
I guess the organization is called Prodigium or something. Prodigium.
Right. Yeah, the Prodigium.
Yeah. So they go in there, and as they're like walking in, like there's just one room that is just like full of like all these monster body parts, and it's obviously just like setting up the universe.
Oh yeah.
Like they have like a vampire skull, and then it looks like they have like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, that's what. You see that, and
And then
future movies.
yeah, they're really setting up for it. Like that's how the thread that goes through every movie is this organization Prodigium. So he goes with Dr. Jekyll. Dr. Jekyll, I mean, just talks at him for a very long time. And then we see that he has to like inject himself with this stuff or he'll turn to Mr. Hyde. So, and then they take him out and they see Amunet is like chained up as like a freaking, I don't know. It was a little weird how they had her chained up.
Just
yeah,
like
it was like
Mercury.
a very submissive looking thing.
Yeah, it was very
they're
submissive.
like embalming her with mercury. So then the mummy gets in his head again. He has a long flashback about how he's a chosen, blah, blah, blah. And she tries to convince him to stop, and he's like yelling, stop. But then and the whole time Dr. Jekyll's just like, fascinating. This is fascinating. Nothing bad will happen. Just observe.
No, not at all. Yeah, he's a man of science.
Yeah. Oh, he's big on that. And but then Nick just like, okay, I'm over it. Like he doesn't try to get her out. So then Nick goes with Jekyll again, and Jekyll basically says he's gonna kill Nick. I think, but they're gonna finish the ritual and then kill the mummy or something. I don't know. I didn't really understand why they were gonna finish the ritual because they were just gonna bury the mummy alive in mercury again.
Yeah, I don't know why they were going to finish the ritual, because wouldn't that have unleashed Set upon the... that was very unclear to me, because it looked like they wanted... At one point, he says he wants to embalm her in mercury to kill her, but then he's like, we're going to finish the ritual.
Yeah.
That didn't compute.
So anyway, they're in the room, and then he starts turning, and Nick grabs the stuff from him so he can't inject him, which was really smart. So then he like... Jenny and the other dude that's with her, they run out, and Jekyll hits this emergency thing. I guess he's like, happens pretty often, where he turns. So it locks the room down. So he starts turning into Mr. Hyde. And meanwhile, Amunet summons a little spider to crawl into some dude's ear and basically turn him into a minion. So he like sets her free, all the while that Jekyll and Nick are throwing down. So they have like a fight in there for a while, and finally Nick, injects him with the serum to turn him back into Dr. Jekyll. And after this, what happens? I think Amunet escapes and goes to... she knows that the ruby is in the in that Crusader's tomb now. So she starts going there. And then all of the Prodigium guys are like, all right, we're going after her too. And Nick and Jenny are going after her too. So they get down in the subway tunnels. Some Prodigium guys try to like mount a defense against the mummy, which does nothing. And then Nick and Jenny get to the tomb with the ruby, and Amunet takes Jenny and freaking basically kills her by drowning her. So then Nick is really upset about this clearly, and
it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. So I
was crying.
One final fight with the mummy, and he just gets his ass kicked. So what he does is he what does he stab himself to turn him? I know he's about to smash.
I was hoping you'd explain that to me, man, because I don't know what he did. It looked like he completed the ritual for her by stabbing himself, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what happened there. Somehow, it's like he completed the ritual, but he, because of his love for Jenny, was able to control Set or something.
Yeah, I think he basically gets the power of Set, and then he uses it to kill the mummy, beats her down, sucks her life out of her, and then he resurrects Jenny. And basically runs off because he's like half man, half mummy. He's got the mummy power, but maybe he can control it. We don't know.
Maybe he's a loose cannon.
Yeah, for the end, which Dr. Jekyll basically explains how now Nick has the power of the mummy, and maybe he'll use it for good, which he will because he's Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe he'll use it for bad. But basically, he has like all these superpowers now, and at the end, it shows him riding through the desert. He resurrected Vale. Who's his little, like, his sidekick. And they're riding through the desert.
I wish he hadn't done that.
Yeah, that was annoying. He summons this giant sandstorm because that's one of his powers, I guess. And then, that's it.
That is it. So,
that's the movie.
Dave, what did you think of The Mummy?
I was decently into it. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I was decently into it until they got to the Prodigium part. And then I was like, oh my God, this movie sucks.
Yeah,
I think they're doing okay.
I kind of agree. I do kind of agree with you. I was lukewarm on board for about the first half of the movie, and like I wasn't loving it, and I had a lot of problems with it. But I was entertained. Like I was, I went into it, and I tried to go into this movie with an open mind and ready to like it because I've always been fascinated by the Mummy. I like the storyline, and I know this movie has been getting panned, so I was really like, okay, I don't want to just ride the critics here, so I want to come in there and try to, make my own decision. But after the first half, man, it just went steadily downhill for me.
It seems like they lost their way with the plot, because once they got to Prodigium, like nothing happened. Like there was a lot of talking, a lot of setup for the next movies, and then it was like, I mean, that was it. And then it was like he had one final fight with the mummy that lasted forever. It was really anticlimactic. He basically just stole the power, ran off, and that's the movie. I mean, it was like there was no good final showdown at all. I mean, really,
it was a terrible final showdown, because he basically just got his ass kicked and did something, completed the ritual or something, and got the power of Set, and then just won. Like, it was very unclear to me what happened there. And I just didn't care enough to Wikipedia it, I wasn't sure if he somehow he harnessed the power of Set, but it doesn't make any sense to me that he completed the ritual for her. She even had a look on her face like, wow, you just did all the work for me. And then he's just, I guess because of his undying love for Jenny, he's able to control Set and use Set's power for his own or something. I don't.
Yeah, that was what didn't make sense to me. Like, if he had just smashed the ruby, it would have fucked the mummy over. But instead, he took the power. It's like, why didn't you just do that before? I guess he had to be inspired by Jenny's death to be willing to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It was extremely unclear to me.
Yeah, I mean, we know now that he's like, if they have an Avengers of the Dark Universe, he's gonna be the leader.
Do we know who he is though? Like, is he a monster? Like, is he just the mummy? Like, the mummy agent in the Prodigium? Like, is that who he is? I guess.
Yeah, I think that there's gonna be a team, and he's gonna be the mummy guy, basically.
Okay, so he's the mummy guy. He's the mummy guy. Okay.
I mean, he obviously has his powers. He has super strength and stuff now.
Yeah, because I guess obviously Amonet's not the mummy. It's almost like the title is almost misleading now, because I feel like it almost refers to Tom Cruise more, because he is going forward. I guess he's probably going to be the mummy.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what they're setting up for. Is in the future, if he does any more of these, which is a possibility, he won't come back.
You know what overall surprised me about this movie was how similar it was aiming to be to the Brendan Fraser one.
I was just going to say that is,
yeah. I thought that this was going to take it in a totally different direction. Like, it almost looked like almost more of a Mission Impossible movie with that kind of serious tone and, tons of incredible action sequences. But, in the Mummy universe, but it felt like they were going for the Brendan Fraser one more.
Yeah, they took a ton of inspiration from the Brendan Fraser film, especially in the first half.
Yeah, that shocked me. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. I liked that. I thought that was a decent idea.
I thought it was a decent idea, but for me personally, it kept reminding me how much more I liked the Brendan Fraser one. It feels to me like they took, they were trying to be a little too similar to that movie. I feel like even a lot of the characters had a direct correlation to that movie. Like, Tom Cruise was the Brendan Fraser character. I guess Jake Johnson was a combination. Remember that guy Benny?
Was that the annoying, weasel guy or whatever?
Yeah, he was the weasel guy. He was kind of a combination of Benny and the British guy that was with them.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. The character dynamics were similar, where they were even in the tense situations, they were making wisecracks all the time. That's how they did the Fraser film.
They did, and then the Jenny was the correlation to Rachel Weisz. But for me personally, it just nothing stacked up to that one. I felt all of those elements were just much worse version. Maybe not much worse, but just worse versions of that movie. And it was. I kind of like that there was some humor in it, but. It just didn't sit with me, especially. And the other biggest overall thing I hated is, and this is an overall problem with me, I hate universe establishing movies. I hate
that really hurt the film big time.
I hate when movies have the onus of, we need to establish this universe in this movie, and this movie had that. It felt like it was trying to establish this Marvel squad that is going to be formed, and it just took me out of the movie when that happened.
I mean, up until that point, I feel like it was its own movie. I did not think that was going to happen, and then it was just Dr. Jekyll's obviously the Nick Fury of the team.
Oh,
And it was
yeah,
just like,
you're
why
right.
are you doing this? Like, all they had to do was like hint at the other films and it would have been fine. But I mean, it was just like a giant sign, like, this is the Dark Universe we're setting up for it. I mean, even it says like on the credits, Dark Universe.
It did say day. I forgot about that. Yeah, it says Dark Universe, and it's just like, and Russell Crowe was like, he becomes the bad guy for like a good 20 minutes of the movie. Like, I mean, he's like the mummy's just chained up, and suddenly Russell Crowe is becoming Mr. Hyde and like fighting Tom Cruise.
I didn't even understand the point of that fight, because it was like, it was obvious almost right from the beginning that Mr. Hyde was really not that strong or tough. Like, he wasn't really doing that much damage. So it was like, you knew he wasn't going to win that fight. And it was almost like, what's the point? Because he's not a bad guy. I think they were trying to show that for later, because he's probably going to figure out a way to use Mr. Hyde to like help fight or something. But really, it was just like, he wasn't that strong or scary. He was just like a little bit of makeup on Russell Crowe. That was it.
Yeah, and he didn't.
A little
he didn't,
strong.
Yeah, he was a little strong. Like, he didn't look really scary. Like, his face kind of just, his face like was kind of inconsistent too. Like, I feel like when he first became Mr. Hyde, like, he almost looked like the Mummy, like, or like a, he had that like.
I thought he was going to be way more of a monstrosity.
Yeah, but then there are certain scenes where he literally just looks like Russell Crowe. Like, I feel like it was just shot really poorly too. Like, during that sequence, where some scenes he looked like he was in more makeup or more shadow or something than others, and it was just really like not well done at all. And I feel like the movie was not very well directed.
No, not at all.
I feel like things were just really uneven, and
I mean, the tone was all over the place. And I mean, I get that they were trying to go for that whole Mummy feel, where it was like, even in the tense moments, it wasn't that serious, but it was like, instead it was just like, there was like tense moments that were like, you shouldn't be making wisecracks in these scenes, and they were anyway.
Yeah, it was still like, I feel like it reached to be like the 1999 Mummy, but it just didn't, like, that movie owned its tone so well, and this movie I feel like was kind of all over the place. Like, the first third of the movie is sort of like that one, but then it gets serious at various points, and then it gets like slapstick ridiculous at some points, like where Tom Cruise is talking to Nick in the bathroom. Like, that scene was brutal, man.
That was
like,
terrible.
That
guy,
was
Jake
so
Johnson.
bad. If we want to start talking about some performances, like Jake Johnson, that was, I mean, it was the script too. I'm not going to blame it all on him, but the script was bad overall too. But that character is just brutal, and it was not a good performance either. He was like so annoying. And I was actually happy when he died, I guess, on the plane, like near the beginning of the movie. I was like, okay, maybe the studio execs realize this is an annoying character, and they need to get him out of here. But then he comes back, and he's even more annoying as like this zombie confidant to Tom Cruise. Like, oh my God. Like, there were some brutal scenes where he's like, he looks like he's in this like mummy zombie makeup, but he's like cracking wise to Tom Cruise, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, it's nonstop. I mean, really, he's just there to like kind of advance the plot, and I mean, he is really irritating.
Yeah, that's basically what he does. It's just there to get Tom Cruise to go find the mummy, like, or try to be buddies with him, or I don't know. It was really bad though. Like, and even that first scene where he's not mummified, or he's not cursed, like, he was annoying. He's just yelling. Like, I was like, shut up. Like, there's that initial action scene with Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson. I'm just like, you have got to shut up. He's like, what are we doing? Hey, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that scene,
what's going on?
Stop.
Like, he's just yelling. Like, oh my God. I was like, get this guy out of here.
What did you think of Jenny's performance? I don't know what her name is.
I thought that character was just the most forgettable character I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would say
movie.
That's my thoughts. Just forgettable.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't like bad. I wasn't really annoyed by her, but it's also the writing I feel like for her, where Jake Johnson, it's equal. Like, his performance is not good and the writing is bad. This was more, I think, the script. Like, she just didn't get to do anything. Like, she literally
was a very boring character.
Like, she didn't need to be there. Like,
she literally, there was almost no scene she needed to be in.
No, like, she drove Tom Cruise around. That was her main, like.
And then she was the inspiration to make him the mummy at the end.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But it was just unclear what her character's motivations were. Like, she has that one scene with Aminette where Aminette is like, you want to see the.
Yeah, I forgot about that. She kind of wants to see the afterlife or something, but that goes away almost instantly.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make any. It's like okay, but that's not developed at any other point in the movie. It's just like mentioned right there, and there's like she doesn't. I guess she's supposed to be sort of an Egyptologist or whatever, like Rachel Weisz was, but
Her knowledge almost never comes in handy.
it never comes in handy. Like she just mentions some facts from time to time, but that's about it.
I mean, Tom Cruise can like understand Arabic because of he's cursed. So
Yeah.
really, she really doesn't even help with that.
Well, and her character's negated in that aspect because once Tom Cruise is cursed, he knows like everything he needs to know.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
Tom
and the
Cruise
guy Vale is telling him stuff too.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is like infected with mummy knowledge by Amunet, so he knows everything. So her character serves no purpose. Like, and there isn't really even that much romantic tension between them. There's like one scene. There's one scene on the plane where she talks about him like finishing in like 15 seconds, and then he like stares at her midriff, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
That's like-
I don't understand the point of that shot.
Yeah, there's like a weird shot of her midriff, and Tom Cruise is like kind of looking at her, checking her out, and that's it. But then at the very end, we're supposed to really care when she's like dead, or like Tom Cruise has some deep emotional connection to her that allows him to fight off set or whatever is possessing him, and it just doesn't. There's no payoff there. Like I don't buy that relationship for 1 second. So, I mean, it wasn't a great performance on her part, Annabelle Wallace or whatever her name is, but I blame that more on the script because it didn't give her anything to do.
Yeah, it really didn't.
Yeah. I'll tell you who I actually did like, and I'm a little conflicted on this one because I don't necessarily like the route they took the character, but I actually thought the girl who played the mummy was pretty good.
I was about to say the same thing. I think that she probably had the best performance in the movie.
I think she did too. I actually thought I liked her take. Like she just had the physicality. Like I feel like she played the seductive mummy card pretty well, and I actually kind of liked her. But I ended up liking her more than any other character. I mean, I know she did some bad shit in the movie, but I was like, this is the character that I kind of like am most interested in watching. So I that's probably not supposed to be the case. Like,
well, first of all, her performance was like the most consistent because like the tone of hers was always kind of like intense and like she was trying to get done what she needed. We knew what she wanted to do, and she was always trying to do it. It was there was never any like dumb, goofy shit going on.
No, she was always kind of that mysterious, she had kind of like a cat-like prowl and, this seductive way about her, and she maintained that throughout the whole movie. So I give props to her, whatever, Sophia Boutella, I think her name is.
Yeah,
but yeah, she was good. I actually liked her. Russell Crowe was, he was...
I thought he was not good, especially when he turned into Mr. Hyde. That was bad.
That was really bad. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'll be your buddy Eddie.
His accent, like, considering he is like Australian or whatever, his accent was not super consistent for me either.
No, it wasn't. And then, I mean, I thought Tom Cruise was like, okay. I mean, he
definitely did not give one of his better performances.
I thought he was Tom Cruise, which I'm not a huge fan of. So
yeah,
but I mean, like, I guess he brought some level of credibility to the movie, like in terms of just being able to at least have some comedic timing on some of the jokes and just sell the action sequences. Like, so I got to give him some credit because he at least was like, capable person helming the movie. But I didn't think he was anything great.
I mean, I think that was a lot to do with the writing and directing for sure. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it just makes me think how much more I just kept throughout this whole movie, like, part of me is happy that it tried to go for that lighter tone, but because it was kind of calling back to the 1999 Mummy, I just kept thinking about that movie while I was watching this one, and like, damn, I wish I was watching that right now. Like, that's, because I liked all of the aspects of that movie better. Like,
that one's a lot funnier. The action's better. The characters are way more likable.
The characters are way more likable. Rachel Weisz has a ton to do in that movie, and she's really good. And even the comic relief character, I think, is a lot more tolerable than Jake Johnson. Like, he's actually, well, I can't remember his name, but he was funny. Like, he was at least like amusing during the movie, and Jake Johnson was just not tolerable.
Yeah, he was. Oh god, he shouldn't have been in this.
And I like Brendan Fraser 10 times more than Tom Cruise in this part. Like, I thought he was just...
Brendan Fraser brought a lot more to that role.
He did, and I think it's also, again, it's directing and, like, the...
the script
like, the
really
screenplay, like,
Cruise
like,
there.
like, Brendan Fraser is... You know, his character is established better. He has more to do, like, you know, and he's not saddled with being cursed the whole movie. Like, that's the other problem is Tom Cruise is cursed the whole movie, and, like, so he's kind of like... he's... on both sides almost, so you kind of lose, like, you know, I mean, you know, he's like a pretty decent guy, but you kind of lose like where he falls on the spectrum. Like Brendan Fraser is, you know, where he stands the whole time. He's like, I don't give a crap and I'm against the Mummy. Tom Cruise is like playing in both worlds too much, where you're like, I mean, I know, like, I don't really know what to think. Like,
yeah, just like the scene where he's like yelling no and she's being embalmed.
yeah,
And then he just suddenly stops, and that's it. Like, no more of that.
yeah, it's just
It was like, what was the point of that, really?
Yeah, there were so many scenes in this movie where I'm just like, that was stupid. Like, or that, like, where did that come from? And then it's just like, it's gone. So yeah, the direction was bad. What'd you think of the action?
I'm gonna say I read a review of this. I shouldn't have done that. I never do that. And
Yeah.
it was talking about apparently the plane scene was really hyped up because the stunts were really difficult. And I actually
Yeah.
thought that scene was definitely the best scene in terms of action. I thought it was
I
really well
agree.
done. I actually
I
thought
did
that
too.
scene was really tense.
Yeah, no, well, at that point in the movie, I was still, I mean, I already had issues with the movie, but I was on board. Like, I was
Yeah,
still,
me too. Like, I was still into the movie thing. I was like, this could still turn out to be a decent movie.
yeah, like, I still thought it was pretty cool. And that scene, I didn't find any of this action scenes, like, particularly memorable, but I felt like I felt like the action was competent. I mean, I
Yeah,
didn't
definitely. For me, the plane scene I thought was good, especially like when it's about to crash.
Yeah,
Like, I
that
thought that was really well shot.
that shot was really cool, where it's like about to crash, and it felt really like,
Yeah.
like, ooh,
Like,
yeah,
you
it was
know
on-
he's done for. That was cool, and that
Yeah,
was
that
probably
was
the
cool.
last good scene. in terms
especially
of
since I
action.
thought somehow he was gonna jump out or something. Like it was like, nope, he's staying on there. Like,
Yeah. I mean, when he was like fighting the mummy zombies, those fights were all really boring. The fights with the mummy were the worst because they were just like super one-sided.
yeah, it was just, they weren't interesting. Like, and they weren't really funny either. Like a lot of the fights from I know you mentioned the other Mummy, but like those fights were funny. Like sometimes,
Yeah.
like I just remember when Brendan Fraser runs in and like sees the Mummy for the first time, and he's just like, whoa, like it's just good. Like that movie maintains its tone throughout, and like this one, I don't know, it just didn't. But what else? I also feel like there were some like major like. Callbacks isn't even the right word. I feel like they copied some things off that Mummy too. Like this Mummy, like, or I don't know, is this a Mummy thing in general? Like she was sucking the life out of like all those people to regenerate. Is that
That's probably
Is
just
that-
like a mummy.
is that a Mummy thing?
I have a feeling that's a mummy thing.
I was gonna say, is that seemed like a copy from the Brendan Fraser one, but I wasn't sure if that was like something mummies in general just do, because I haven't seen like the original 1932 one or whatever. So I wasn't sure if that happened in that movie or in mummy lore. But also also like the face in the sand too. Like I feel like that was such a quintessential image of that old mummy movie, and they copied that in this one, and it was just like, come up with your own ideas.
I almost wonder if they feel like they were like allowed to rip off the other one because it's like Universal. It's like the same mummy. It's almost, you could almost connect these movies because they're set in different time periods. You probably could connect them if you wanted to.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. It's by the same company too, or the same
did
movie
Universal do the other ones? We should check on that.
Yeah, here I'm gonna check on that right now.
Yeah, because I mean, Universal owns the rights to the Mummy. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they did the other one too. In which case, maybe they felt like, oh well, first of all, we can connect these movies because it's two different mummies, two different origin stories, two different time periods. So really, like, if you wanted to say the movies were connected, there would be nothing stopping you. There can be more than one mummy with powers. I don't remember how
that's
the other
true.
mummy got his power either.
He had to do kind of the same thing. Like he came back as like the sort of the like decayed mummy, and he had to suck the life out of people to regenerate it. I guess that one was a little more centered around. He had to specifically suck the life out of, I think, those American douchey grave robber guys. You remember? I think he had to specifically kill them to get his power.
That.
Yeah, because they were like, And yeah, it is Universal, so you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I legitimately almost wonder if they would be like, these movies are connected in some way. I mean, they probably won't because they're starting fresh, but they could do that.
But yeah, it was sort of the same deal where he had to suck the life out of people in both movies. But I don't know. I mean, should we talk about what did you like about the movie?
One thing I liked, I wonder if you noticed this, I thought the movie had a really good color palette. Did you notice that? Like the costumes they wore and like all of the cinematography, that had like really good up until the Prodigium part.
No, I would agree with that. I thought some of the cinematography was good. I thought the whole I'll tell you a scene I liked was the whole scene where they're investigating the mummy tomb for the first time.
Yeah.
I thought that whole scene was really cool. That shot where they're descending into it was cool. I thought the look of the contraption that was holding the mummy in the mercury, I thought that idea was I'd never seen that before, the whole mercury thing, so I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought that whole scene was good.
I think the cinematography was definitely strong, and I think the color palette stayed consistent throughout the film. Like the way that I thought we had good production design. Well, the Prodigium stuff all sucked, but aside from that, like the costumes looked good. You know, a lot of the shots up until the Prodigium scenes looked good.
Yeah, that I can't emphasize enough how much that Prodigium stuff just took me out of this movie. Like
that really fucked this
it
movie
immediately felt like I was watching a Marvel movie. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh my god, here we go. Is this like here's Dr. Jekyll? Is he gonna be like clap his hands and the Wolfman comes out from behind a door, and like it just reeked of like, we need to establish this universe. Let's do it. Like let's come on boys. Let's get the gang together here. And
I really did not expect them to do that. I thought they were going to link the films in a much more loose way, but I mean, they're going to have like a legitimate Avengers of monster movies,
which I hate. I don't mind that they're linked. I just, like you said, I want it to be loose. Like I want each of these movies to stand on their own and be like their own faithful adaptation to that particular monster or whatever, and instead it's going to be frickin', we're probably going to be seeing Tom Cruise pop up in the Dracula movie, or like
that's what's going to start happening.
Dr. Jekyll is going to be, like he's going to have some formula to beat the creature from the Black Lagoon, or like it's just going to be these characters coming back and forth, and that is gross to me.
I mean, maybe some of these other ones will stand on their own better, especially if they set them in different time periods. But I mean, if every one of them is just like a superhero, this really was like a superhero origin story for the Mummy.
Yeah.
So if they do another one of those, I'm going to be really irritated, because the next one is The Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, right. Yeah, do we want to...
Yeah, I mean, do you want to give your final thoughts? And then
let's wrap this up, and then we can start talking about some of these other ones that are going to be made. So overall, I was disappointed. I think the first half was a promising, start to the movie, where I feel like I was on board, and it just once everything started having to be interconnected, and then just a lot of the attempts to just copy the Brendan Fraser one just fell flat for me. Did you notice the little the book in the Prodigium scene? She hits a mummy over the head with it, and it's the book of Amon-Ra or whatever from the Brendan Fraser mummy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they threw that in there too. But yeah, so I don't know. I was not a huge fan. I don't think it was quite as bad as the reviews it's getting. I'm pretty sure it's like a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Yeah, it's getting trashed. And I think
I didn't think it was that bad, but
is like the pompousness of these reviewers, and it's Tom Cruise, so
yeah. And I'm not even a Tom Cruise fan, and I can say at least hey, I was entertained for a good part of it. I'm gonna go right down the middle and say 5 out of 10.
I'm actually I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go 5.5 out of 10. I wanted to give it over a 5. I felt compelled.
Yeah, I was hovering between a 4.5 and a 5, and it's probably somewhere in the middle of those, but I'll bump it up to a 5, because I feel like, right around a 5 is a watchable movie, and I found this to be a watchable movie. I didn't like it that much, and I had a ton of issues with it. I also remember I gave Beyond the Gates 5.5, so I can't go much. I can't go much lower than that for this one, because this was watchable too. So, all right. Well, that's it for the Mummy. So next, you want to move in and start talking about some of this dark universe stuff. So what are some of the movies that are being made? Like, I guess you read an article on this.
All right. So I have an article up. There's a lot more going on with this than I realized. The only other movie with a release date is Bride of Frankenstein, which isn't until 2019. And apparently that's going to have Javier Bardem, and they're trying to get Angelina Jolie to be the Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, is Javier Bardem Frankenstein then?
I don't know. I'm assuming so.
Because
I'm
that's the
assuming it's gonna
only.
be, Frankenstein's monster, whatever.
Yeah, that's the only other casting buzz I've heard is Javier Bardem is Frankenstein.
Well, there's another big one. Is The Invisible Man is going to be Johnny Depp.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I didn't know they even had The Invisible Man. I guess that's.
I didn't know he was in that same. I wasn't. I didn't know. I wasn't aware the Invisible Man was like a universal monster.
Apparently,
pick.
it is.
Oh, cool. Well,
the other one is that the movies that have been confirmed. I guess those are the only movies that are confirmed. Apparently, The Rock has been rumored to be the Wolfman for a while.
oh man.
Like a year. Yeah, which I thought was hilarious. So I guess he's definitely going to be a good guy if he is.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely be a good guy.
Yeah. So then I guess we can talk about some of the ones that probably will happen. Dracula.
I'm surprised Dracula hasn't been released.
I mean, that's another problem though. Like their next movie isn't coming out for 2 years. Like that is not the best way to start a universe because that's what they did with DC. They did Man of Steel, and then it was 2 years or 3 years for Batman versus Superman.
Well, especially a movie that is getting the low critical reviews and like not great box office as this Mummy movie is getting. Like, if they wanted to wait that long, they should have like this needed to be a hit.
Well, they expected it to be a hit. I mean, it has Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah, so I feel like
hits.
I feel like this is not a good sign for the Dark Universe that their first movie right out of the gates is like this crap fest. Or like this, mediocre movie at the very best.
It's a crap fest.
Yeah.
Apparently, like I've been reading these articles, and they basically said that the universe is still going full steam, but if Bride of Dracula or Bride of Frankenstein tanks, it's over. They're gonna can the whole thing probably.
And that's a shame because I was excited to hear about this universe. Like
I wasn't. Great idea.
I wasn't excited to see how they wanted to like make this a team as much like as I found out in The Mummy. I wasn't aware of that aspect of it, but as far as making like loosely connected revivals of the monster movies from the 30s, like I was on board for that because I think that's really
excited for this.
I think
why
that's
I wanted to see this.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea, and I think it's just a damn shame that this one was so bad. And I hope they take these other movies in different directions. Like I would have liked to have seen this be. I think it would have been interesting to go like big time horror too.
Yeah, I mean, and there were a lot of flashes of that. We didn't really talk about that. There were like some scenes that were meant to be scary.
That's the other thing in this movie that annoyed me. I get back into The Mummy for a second. A big problem I had with it are the jump scares. Like,
oh yeah,
I hate jump scares, especially if they're not founded in like real feelings of horror. And I was never scared during this movie, but God, there were so many jump scares. It was ridiculous. And I was just, that disgusted me. I hate jump scares when the movie's not even scary. Like, but I guess it was going for that vibe. But
yeah,
I think it would have been interesting to take this in a really dark, scary direction, and they didn't do that. But
they couldn't decide which direction to take it.
No, they couldn't decide. But yeah, maybe they'll do that with some of these other ones. We'll see. So I guess there's going to be a Creature in a Black Lagoon movie.
Yeah, that's on this list. I mean, this is just like a variety article with like some movies listed, and I mean, I don't think that all of these are confirmed, but Creature from the Black Lagoon, I think, is confirmed.
Is the
Phantom
Blob?
of the Opera is apparently.
Is the Blob part of a?
I don't know that the Blob is.
I couldn't remember what that was from. Phantom of the Opera, is that part of the?
It's on this list. I don't know that that means anything because this also has Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I don't think they're doing that.
That would be something if they did. Yeah, I don't think they're doing that either.
So, I mean, and the Wolfman isn't on this list, but I mean, that's a big one. Also, Van Helsing, because I guess he's the main character of Dracula.
Yeah, Van Helsing.
So I guess he's going to be showing his face. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in a lot of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I wonder who they'll get for that.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I mean, we might see him in the Frankenstein movie because he was around in that era, I think.
Yeah. Were they actually trying? I'm curious. Were they trying to do this same sort of idea around the time of the
Brendan Fraser? I think. Because I think that Van Helsing is set in the old Mummy universe.
Yeah, because I remember they made the Van Helsing movie around that time. And
I mean, look how many movies they made that were all linked to the Mummy. They made like 5 or 6. Well, they made like a bunch of Scorpion King sequels, but it's like,
Oh god, those were bad.
yeah, they had like 3 Mummy movies. They had the Scorpion King and all the sequels, so they had like their own little universe cooking already.
They really did, and it's. I think the first Mummy. I mean, even this. I thought the second Mummy was watchable too.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Those 2 movies and then Van Helsing, I think, were better than this Mummy. So like, and if that universe couldn't get off, this is gonna have a hard time. But I think people are also a lot more into this whole idea of like interconnected universes now than they were 20.
Yeah, I mean, they literally put Dark Universe on the front. Like, they want you to know what you're getting yourself into, and people are eating this stuff up.
Yeah, people love this. That's like television is so big; they just want everything to be connected, and that's the thing right now. But were there a lot of people in your movie theater?
I mean, I went on a Monday afternoon, so no, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
apparently this thing did like 170 million worldwide so far.
I bet it's China, man. Worldwide, a lot of these movies do really well. I feel like it's in the U.S. that a lot of these are starting to not do great.
But I mean, I feel like it has the potential to not be a bomb because it didn't bomb at the box office if it already made more than its budget.
Yeah, I don't think it'll bomb. I think
it may not make money. So
yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where this goes from here. I'm still, I'll still see the next ones because I do like the idea. It's just, man, this was not the start that they wanted.
I do think the next one, Bride of Frankenstein, if it has Angelina Jolie and Javier Bardem in it, I think that has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and hopefully they're just willing to like change the tone of these movies on a movie by movie basis, like, or you just make a better movie even. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Even if
they don't all need to be like Marvel movies where they're all the same tone, they can be different.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping is based on, like, maybe the Bride of Frankenstein can be really dark, and the Wolfman movie can be a little more lighthearted, and kind of go from there. But we'll see, I guess. All right, should we move on to our last extravaganza of the day?
Let's get into our last sequence here.
So we're going to be doing a couple of versus battles here. I mean, we've done these in the past, and this will be a sort of a mainstay segment on this this wonderful show that we've created. So we've got a couple of choice battles here, and basically Dave and I are just going to talk it out and see who we think would win. It's a lot of times it's movie characters, it's just various people like that in movie universes, or you'll get the idea. So what's our first battle here, Dave?
Did you want to do Jason Bourne and Ethan Hunt? This is a little topical.
Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah, it fits into the Tom Cruise theme of the episode.
So right off the bat, who are you picking? Because I didn't do enough research for this.
I don't think I did either, man. I'm literally going on like just memory from sometimes
I can know a lot about Bourne. I don't know as much about.
I think
Hunt.
Sometimes these battles too will be more in depth. The more we know about the characters, like these are not going to be, but they'll still be fun. I'm going Bourne, I think, because Bourne is just I want to say a killing machine, but I feel like Ethan Hunt probably is too. But does Ethan Hunt have any like not altercations? What's the word I'm looking for? Like, does he have anything like supernatural about him? Like, does he have any like?
Yeah, he definitely does. Like, the amount of punishment he takes is not human for sure.
That's what I'm wondering. But because I want to go Jason Bourne, because Jason Bourne is like just a stone cold killing machine.
Jason Bourne is no human could ever do what he does without it. Yeah, he's superhuman. But I'm trying to look up a feet thread.
For some reason, I feel like I remember in a Mission Impossible movie, Ethan Bourne like getting injected with something. I don't know. Like, that could be totally wrong.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of fights where he's just like getting taken ridiculous amounts of punishment.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can, because I mean, I know.
But I just feel like Jason Bourne is just like a master of all fighting styles, like to the level that no one else in the world is. I mean, like, you see him dispatching goons in those movies, and I mean, he is just like surgical. Like, and I feel like Jason Bourne doesn't typically take that much punishment. I feel like he's more just dishing it out.
You mean Hunt or Bourne?
Bourne.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't show a ton of durability feats, but I mean, nobody can really even hurt him. He's so good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like he's such a master of all weaponry and like hand-to-hand styles that I don't know. Like, I feel like Ethan Hunt maybe has the heart, but Jason Bourne, I feel like, would just take him out with that like surgical precision.
I mean, Hunt in his newer movies, he basically has a fighting style more like Bourne, where he is just like picking people apart. I mean, he's an insane fighter.
Yeah, because I feel like in the earlier movies, he's more like, I feel like he's kind of like, almost not scared, but I feel like he's like really jacked up and like, he's in like jittery and like he's getting his butt kicked a lot and, kind of getting up from it and responding. But I feel like, maybe that's changed as the older he's got. But Jason Bourne is, I feel like, pretty much the same. Like he's always just, and Jason Bourne is always just 10 steps ahead of you.
That's
no
the
matter
thing about
what.
Hunt, though, is that's his thing too. Remember in Mission Impossible 2, he's always ahead of the bad guys in that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Remember at the end where he gets the guy to kill his goon because he puts the mask on him.
Oh, okay, I do remember that.
Hunt is really smart, and it seems like he gets a leg up on the bad guys pretty often.
I just don't see him getting a leg up on Bourne, though. I feel like Bourne would equal him in that terrain, and then I feel like once they got to the fighting, I feel like although Ethan Hunt is like obviously really good, I feel like Bourne is better.
I feel like Bourne is probably a better fighter. I think like in terms of like how good they are with guns, they're pretty close. I mean, if it was just like a straight kill,
I think this would I think this would definitely be a close like battle of attrition, but I just see Bourne taking it home.
I mean, I think it would be close and probably go towards Bourne too. But I'm just curious because I feel like in his newer movies, Hunt is just a lot better than he used to be. And even in his old movies, I mean, he is just he's a killing machine.
Well, I'm trying to remember the latest.
Flash.
I don't think I saw Mission Impossible 4, but I saw Rogue Nation. I think whichever one that is.
I mean, that one he is like. He's going to town with his hand-to-hand stuff, and I mean,
yeah, he is.
He's always like. He's got like everybody after him. That's the thing. Like that's his thing. Is well, it's like Bourne too, but he's like always got like the world chasing him down.
Yeah, but Bourne's always got like that huge like syndicate or whatever chasing him down too, and he's I feel like also the thing about Bourne is like Bourne could like. I feel like Bourne would like get the drop on Ethan Hunt. Like Bourne always seems to be like.
I definitely don't think he would get the drop on him, especially if they knew about each other. I think he's way too smart for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it would end up being a shootout. I guess I'll go with Bourne for this one.
Yeah, I think Bourne's got it.
Right,
it'd be close though. It'd be close. We got to brush up on our
close.
Ethan Hunt knowledge, and maybe we'll bring him into another one. But all right, our second one here is a little more ridiculous. We're going. It's Chewbacca from the Star Wars movies versus John Matrix, who is Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando.
So you're gonna have to like pretty much give me all my Chewbacca knowledge because I mean I know that he can like rip your arms out of your sockets and he's got a really strong bowcaster, but that's about all I know.
I mean that's about all you need to know. Like he's I mean he's not like necessarily proficient in any fighting style. I mean he's been through, but he's got experience on his side. Like he's been through the wars with Han Solo, so and his bowcaster is incredibly powerful. I mean, it's basically like a energy grenade launcher, that he carries around.
What are we going to give to John Matrix for this fight?
I think that's the key. Yeah, what is John Matrix? Because, I mean, John Matrix has to have guns.
I think it can be whatever he can get his hands on, which probably would be like no explosives, but he would probably have some grenades and, some automatic weapons.
Yeah, I'm thinking like probably an assault rifle and like some maybe grenades. And I feel like in their battlefield, like John Matrix, that'd be one of his perks. He just finds weapons. Like
yeah, absolutely.
Like he'd be walking around and like getting weapons. I mean, as strong as John Matrix is, I can't give it to him in a hand-to-hand fight because Chewbacca is just. He can literally pull the ears off a Gundark. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think he would win in a hand-to-hand fight, but I also think he would put some damage on Chewbacca.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take a surprising turn here. I'm going John Matrix.
Really?
Because I feel like John Matrix is more proficient at long-range weaponry, and I don't feel like this fight would get close. Like I feel like
my question is like what kind of durability does Chewbacca have? I mean, is one bullet going to drop him or what?
I don't think one bullet's going to drop him by any means, but I feel like John Matrix would be able to take Chewbacca down before he could get to him. I feel like if Chewbacca could get to him, it would. But even then, John Matrix, I mean, he would just be in a Speedo and he'd be glistening with sweat. And
I mean, first of all, like he could get the drop on Chewbacca pretty easily, I think, because that's like his specialty. Is he was like a Green Beret commando or whatever. So if they were in the woods, he probably would get the drop on Chewbacca.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like in just a bit, if they were in like an enclosed, like say 10 foot by 10 foot room, I think Chewie's got it. Because I think he's too strong and too, just a physically superior being to John Matrix, even though John Matrix is a pretty beastly human.
Yeah, I mean, he can do stuff no human can do, for sure.
But I feel like John Matrix is just a more proficient and trained warrior than Chewbacca is. Yeah, I mean, not that Chewbacca's a slouch. Like, he was, growing up on Kashyyyk, like, a lot of Wookiees are warriors, and like, but I feel like John Matrix is just, he's a Green Beret. He's got mastery of all long-range weaponry. And he's so good at getting the drop on people that I feel like he would just be able to surprise Chewbacca enough that, or I could even see it being a stalemate. I could see like John Matrix getting the drop on him and like laying some rounds into Chewie, and Chewie just like nails him with the crossbow.
Yeah, he definitely
couldn't
take a single hit from that bowcaster going down. And that's what I think would happen is he would probably start lighting Chewie up, and Chewie would get 2 or 3 shots off, and one of them would hit him, and that would be it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
So I think I'll just go with the draw. I agree with you, actually.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go John Matrix, but I could see a draw happening. But man, John Matrix doesn't lose too easily.
No, I mean in the end of Commando, he is just like, I mean, he's just running along the beach, just like killing everything in sight.
Yeah,
it's
he
like
really
laughable.
Is. Yeah, he's.
Plus, I mean, he picks up the phone booth with the dude in it. I mean, that phone. How much do you think a phone booth weighs? 2,000 pounds. I mean, that was.
Oh, I forgot about it. He does. Like, he picks.
That makes him superhuman.
I would say phone booth is at least 2,000 pounds because and plus the human inside I would think is probably say 200 pounds, and that phone booth is probably at least a ton. So
I mean, it's almost like when he's got the security guards on him in the mall. Do you remember that? He's got like 30 security guards on him. He just shakes them off,
and he does. Well, and that's the other thing is John Matrix is not typical human strength. Like he is
not at
like
all.
A beefed up version of a human. So I feel like
he definitely couldn't tear anyone's arms out of their sockets.
No, he couldn't. But I feel like if it came down to hand-to-hand, I feel like Chewie would be so injured by John Matrix's long-range weaponry, but by the time they got to hand-to-hand, I feel like John Matrix might be able to take him because Chewie would be so injured.
Yeah, just because he's wounded.
Yeah. But I would want to see that fight. That would be I think terrain would also be big in that one, depending on where they were fighting. If they're in the jungle. If they're in the jungle,
like any enhanced senses or anything?
I think they have like enhanced hearing. I think they're basically like animals where they have greater hearing and vision, but I don't think it's anything. I don't know that it would be enough to turn the tide. They're not like predators or something, where they can like thermal vision or supersonic hearing. Like I think they're basically just enhanced enhanced sensory creatures. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'd pay to see it, but all right, I don't know, man. You got anything else?
No, I think. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about? I think we're good, actually.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good too. So, thanks for listening, guys. As always, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Like, just look Serious Film Critics. You'll find us. We're tweeting a lot. We're sticking with it. We're putting those tweets out there. So give us some love. I know we have millions of listeners, so show it. We also have an email, seriousfilmcritics@gmail.com. Just spelled out, seriousfilmcritics@gmail.com. And so send us your emails. We could, if any of you guys send us any particularly good versus fights, we could do those. We'll answer movie questions, obviously workout advice. We're experts on working out. So, we'll answer anything pretty much. Just send us some emails, and that's about all I got, man. Anything else? All right.
Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
You take it easy, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.